This is Visio 2010 Network Rack Diagram Tutorial Part 8, Equipment Schedules. In this video, we'll be looking at generating equipment schedules. Valuable part of the drawing. Provides a list for material purchases, acquisitions. Also provides an important way for data checking to see that the drawings have been labeled properly. Going to turn on the shape data pane and zoom in a little bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is label some of these shapes. I'm going to start out doing patch panels. My scheme here is that labeling patch panels A, B, C, D within a closet. So those letters spread from one rack to the next, the closet lettering. So I'm just going to go here and go to patch panel A, B, and so forth. And go to the next drawing. Of course, now we're in the same closet, so these contain the letters. And we'll go to the closet, and we'll here be starting those patch panel letters again. And that should pretty much cover the patch panels. Now, one of the things we're going to label in here is we're going to put in some IP addresses. And here I'm going to assume that these switches are stacked and will share the same IP address. So I'm just going to go and Control C to copy that. Then some UPS has an IP address. And that one. Go to the next closet. I'm going to assume again that these are stacked. Pasting these values. And find the last page. And here I'm going to just assume that they're not stacked. And so those all have sequential numbers. And then it's from down here. Okay, that covers our numbering. So now we continue to do that for however many sheets we have on the drawing. And now we'll create and rename some pages for reports. This will be a report for IP addresses. And this one will be a report for patch panels. And I'm going to go first to the IP address page. And here I'm going to go to Review and Shape Reports. And we'll be generating a shape report to do IP addresses on this page. So now here we choose the objects we want to report in. It'll be the shapes on all the pages. and make sure that we get them all. That's the value of our report. And we click the Advanced button to limit the report. Now this is going to be a report on all devices, both the UPSs and the patch panels. We want to see the IP addresses. We could limit this by layer, except for the fact that the way our layers are set up, we have a different layer for the switches and for the UPSs. And while we could select the layer, we don't have a way to do this layer or that layer. It does this layer and that layer, so it would have to be on 2 layers. So rather than go back and re-changing the layers of everything, instead we're going to go here with IP address field exists. Okay, and I'm going to add that. So if it has an IP address field, we're going to list it on our report. Then the properties that we want, the columns in our report, and we're going to choose the manufacturer, the IP address, we get the product number, and then we'd like to know what page this thing is on. So rack ID. I'm going to call this report IP. I don't want to leave any spaces in the report title, so this will be IP address report 1. Now we're going to group this by the IP address, and the reason we're doing that is that we have stacked panels and we want to group them together. We'll give a count for each one of those groups of for the same IP address, how many we have in the stack. And then we're going to click the options here, and we're going to not repeat identical values. That just makes our report look a little bit better. And so then we're going to go next, and we're going to call this again, it's important to name the report because if you want to go back and edit it, there's a lot of other reports that show up. We'll leave a check to save it in the drawing. I'm going to hit finish, and now we are ready to run our report. Now this can be run as a spreadsheet, which can be useful, particularly for ordering materials, that sort of thing. And you can run this same report either as that or a Visio shape. For our purpose here to show it on the drawing, the Visio shape is a lot more convenient. So I'm going to click OK, and we have just generated our IP address report. Now the title of this is the same as the title of our report, so we might have wanted to use a little better title on this, like maybe just IP addresses. But looking at what we have here, we can see that we've got some switch stacks. We've got IP address 101, 3 of them. Then we have UPS. We have 4 switches in a stack. That seems just a little bit odd. And those 4 switches show themselves as 2 different rack IDs. So we didn't stack any switches between racks. So it looks like we got a little bit of an issue there. So probably this rack ID, which is different, is mislabeled. So go to CD1DA. This is 103, and these are 103. So they're in different closets. So we're going to change this IP address right here, since these are not stacked, to 107. And go back to our report and see how everything else looks. Here we have, well, we only have 2 switches shown here, and should have been 3 in that panel. So it looks like that was the only mistake. So I'm going to go back to run this report again. And you can see it runs very quickly, very easily, and it shows our correction and our APC UPS. So this way we can verify that we've use sequential IP addresses. We haven't duplicated them except for where they're stacked, and we're pretty clean there. Now, if you want to go back and change that report in some way, you can go back to the shape reports. You want to uncheck the show only drawing specific reports, and down here to IP address report definition, and we're going to modify that. And leave most of the stuff the same, except up here, I'm going to correct the spelling of address and take that. Okay. And we'll leave everything else the same. And we'll close it. This report. And you can see that it changed the title up at the top there. So that's a little better. Now we're going to do one other report for patch panels. So again, shapes on all pages. I'm going to go to advanced. Now in this case, these are all on a particular layer for patch panels. So we're going to go on this one to layer name, and that equals patch panels. Add that. So that's our criteria for this report. Hit OK. Here we're going to show. I want to show the closet ID because these are how they're labeled in the closet is important. We'll do the manufacturer, the patch panel ID, and the product number, and we'll also do the rack ID. Here we're going to call this report patch panels, and here we're going to group it by closet ID. We'll put a count on that, and we won't repeat identical values. And we will be sorting by patch panel ID. We're going to move the patch panel ID down to the end, and we will sort by patch panel ID. We'll call this report definition patch panel report definition 1. We'll finish and run. And there is our report. All right, and here we have two closets, CD1A, CD1B, 7 patch panels, 4 patch panels, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, D. So we got a little bit of a problem here. It's when we went from this rack to this rack, we duplicated that letter right there. And then the other one, it's A, B, C, D. So that looks good. So I'm going to go back to here, and this shouldn't have been a D. So I'm going to change that to E. And then F. And G. Go back to my patch panels report. Right click. Run the report. And A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D. So that shows we've got the patch panels correctly labeled in the drawing. Basically, that's it for generating equipment schedules. It can be done with other types of equipment. It's particularly effective for these where you want to correct errors on the report, but it's also useful in terms of ordering materials, in which case you might want to list switches, and you could group them by product number, and that way you have a list and a count take off on how many of them you had. So on a large job, that would be helpful. It will tell you where each one of them was, which rack it was in, that sort of thing. For further information, go to drinfrastructure.com.